Testing, 1, 2. 1, 2. This is Mr. Nobody. Episode 22. There are riots in my city. Not exactly riots, but demonstrations during the day about police violence targeting black people. But at nighttime, the looting has started. Been like a shopping spree. On one hand, the demonstrations are quite exciting in that they can be a catalyst for people to come together. In fact, quite literally, people come together. And it's an issue that seems to transcend just black people, brown people, because you see a lot of people. The looting is very upsetting to watch. I know a lot of the stores that are getting broken into. One specifically I know is owned by a minority family. It's got his windows smashed. It's a second-hand store, for crying out loud. So it sucks. People who steal suck, because they didn't earn that shit. I saw people with their hands full of all kinds of stuff. How many pairs of pants can you wear? There it is. That's just what's happening. So rather than judge it, I'll just say that it's happening. The looting is happening. The fire starting. There is no issue in my mind that people should not be afraid of the police, because if that occurs, then everything breaks down. The times I've been pulled over by the police where I've been afraid
was because I was doing something illegal. In my case, usually pertaining to marijuana or driving without insurance or a license.
Not because of my skin color.
Things I would not allow my son to do.
One time I even forged my registration in my window. I was that guy. I forged it, and the cops saw it right away.
Yeah, I was scared.
Mostly because I had a reason to be. The police had the power to stop my
special case
behavior.
Another time I was driving my daughter to school, and I looked a little young to have kids. At that time, the cop pulled me over because one of my headlights was out. Really suspected I had drugs on me. The weird thing is my pockets were huge. I was working on my house, and I had these big ass jeans on, and they had deep pockets, and I had all kinds of stuff in there, like keys and money and pieces of pipe
from plumbing
and screws, all this shit, making me pull out everything out of my pocket and put it on top of the hood of the car. And I could see the two cops talking,
looking at each other,
just waiting for the moment where the, pipe is going to come out or the drugs are going to come out.
They're waiting for that moment.
Never came out. Later they said to me, we couldn't believe that all that stuff came out of your pockets, and the way you look, no
offense.
It just seemed like there was going to be drugs on you. Up front about that. And so I had to take in that feedback that to those guys, I look like somebody who used drugs, and I did. I had a sort of rough look, wearing crazy clothes.
I was working on my house.
My car was fucked up. Granted, it was. It wasn't only the headlight.
There was other things.
That car's
was not supposed to be on the road.
They did profile me. I was also doing fucked up shit.
But I'm not
a black person who's constantly in fear of having
cops
look at them and say they're up to no good. I do think I had a look to me that had a sense of
that guy is up to no good.
I have to admit that.
I did have that.
That look and that vibe.
And I did do a lot of illegal shit. I've also been on the highways down south when I was visiting my son, and the state troopers
were like stormtroopers.
Their whole vibe.
On the side of the highways.
But then once in a while you'd see somebody zipping down these freeways at like
I'm not joking.
100 miles an hour. And you're like, what the fuck?
Weaving in and out of traffic.
Endangering everybody.
You just wish those assholes
Get pulled over.
by a stormtrooper.
It's a balance, it's a trust, and it's a partnership that we have to have with each other. Cops are just enforcing laws that we put on the books as citizens to say we don't want, people going through the fucking windshield without a seatbelt. Or driving while they're drunk and killing your fucking kids, or stealing shit, or selling drugs, or shooting guns, or doing fucked up shit can hurt and harm other people. So the cops, they're just enforcing those laws. Problem comes up is when they hurt people while doing it, and they're not professional, and they're not trained, or they're assholes. And there's systemic underlying issues. When there's a marginalized group in a society, they're gonna get targeted, and it sucks. It happens all over the world, and
brutality in any form
is completely inexcusable. My interactions with cops recently have been pretty humane, and in some cases, there's no way I would have gotten through a particular situation without their support, and that shouldn't be denied. Overlapping realities. But are you somebody who's doing something wrong and you're afraid of getting caught and you're doing shit you're not supposed to be doing? And when you ask yourself, well, what is that? That shit is breaking laws that the citizens put on the books because they don't want that shit
going down.
Like selling drugs and shooting guns and hurting other people or raping or stealing. That stuff sucks. And it doesn't matter what color you are. Shitty knows no race.
Shitty knows no race.
Being a criminal knows no race or color. And so I had to ask myself, why am I nervous around cops as I'm driving my car through an area when there was many a road stop and I went around it because I was doing something I wasn't supposed to be doing, driving something I wasn't supposed to be driving. I wasn't a heavy, hardcore criminal, but I still had that mentality of the rules didn't apply to me. They only applied to me when I was about to get stopped. So eventually, I pulled my shit together enough to have a car with insurance and not be on drugs. It is a personal decision to say, I'm not going to be that person.
That person.
And you know what I mean. I knew all along what that was all about.
What I was doing.
What my heart in it all is. If you're a criminal, you're choosing to be a criminal, just like me. And if you choose not to be a criminal, you could do that.
It's pretty fucking great.
It's much better than being a criminal.
Much better.
Maybe you make a little less money, but it's not shit money. It's real money. It's real good money. It feels good. It feels better. And all that time you spend
justifying
and lying to yourself about why what you're doing isn't so fucked up.
You could put to something else.
You put all that bandwidth, creativity, and brain power into good shit. Real shit.
That's stupid shit.
So there's a cost. There's a real human cost to being a criminal. I know because I've been one. Just the stress and the cognitive dissonance is an energy sapper.
It ages you.
It makes you violent. It makes you resentful. It fucks you up.
Fucks you up.
Fucks you up. Fucks you up. Check that. You fuck you up. You're in the driver's seat. Of course, I'm discussing things from a personal responsibility, and this doesn't take into account being brutalized or targeted or
victimized
when you are completely innocent. And no one should be treated that way by a professional police department.
That should never happen.
But there are no professional criminals. Criminals function by our own individual code, which is often
just made up
to help us get through the day. There's no real ethics. There's no real code. I knew this one cop who lived across the street from my apartment.
This was before I had my son.
And this guy was young. He was probably the age of my son. And one day, I looked behind me in my rearview mirror and I saw his car
tailgating me
up the sleepy little street of my town. I mean, aggressively tailgating me. Obviously, he didn't know or care who I was.
I was his neighbor.
I knew him, I knew his wife, I knew his kid, I knew his
Stepdaughter.
He was an asshole. The next time I saw his face was when I stayed overnight at a friend's apartment in Brooklyn, and I got the subway pretty early in the morning, and I looked on the floor of the subway, and there was his picture on the front page of the local newspaper.
Full page.
His face. Evidently, he had been staking out
Some
laundromat in the Bronx and saw some guys going in there with guns.
to rob the place.
He went in there unassisted,
My backup.
pulled out his gun, put one of the guys on the floor, and while he was handcuffing him, the other guy just walked around the counter and put a whole bunch of shots into the slit of his bulletproof vest. Right through it into his body. There's a little gap there. And there was his face on the floor of the subway. The same guy who I had seen raging through the neighborhood 60 miles away.
His partner.
Made a statement, said he should have waited for backup. Don't ever go in on something like this.
By yourself.
I took that as a leak, as an honest leakage of truth, that his partner knew this guy for what he was, an impetuous, arrogant
Asshole.
Did he deserve to get killed? No. Did those guys deserve to rob that store? No.
Individuals.
Representing a system. One system is enforcing laws, and you have plenty of assholes and jerks on that side of the fence, and then you have criminals that have no code, no training, no ethic.
To what they're doing.
These guys were just fucking murderers. They also saw that he was alone.
Did what they could do. They were apprehended.
And I don't know what happened to them. Sad story. True story. What's the moral? I don't know. Don't be an asshole.
Don't be an asshole.
Don't be an asshole.
How not to be an asshole? Well, be honest. Tell the truth. Pay your bills. Train your body so you're fit and healthy. Educate yourself. Take on the personal responsibility of educating yourself to the highest possible degree. You might not be richer, but you'll die smarter. Help people. If you can, if they're helpable. Don't break laws that are put in place for good reasons, to keep people safe. Don't be violent. Control your emotions. Study yourself. Breathe. Spend time in nature, wherever you find it. Clean your fucking room. Make your bed.
Don't be an asshole.
Don't be an asshole.
Don't do hard drugs like heroin or meth or crack. Those fucking kill you, and they destroy everything around you. So much of the crime and the ignorance and the poverty in our world is because of drug abuse. It's a choice. Choose something else. Pick your poisons. Play music. Learn an instrument. You won't have time for bullshit. Because bullshit will not make you a better player. Only practice, reverence, and learning. It's a meritocracy. Jazz is a meritocracy. Doesn't matter how much you talk or think about yourself. It's about the work you put in and the beauty that comes from that work. Don't be an asshole. Be polite to people. Try to understand other points of view. Free your own mind. Don't make any excuses for your shitty behavior. Not one. It's not about owning your behavior. It's about directing it. Master yourself. That is true wealth. That's the only wealth. If you're rich and you're an asshole, what the fuck? What is it good for? Nothing. And if you're poor and you have mastered yourself, then you're not poor. Fight against inequity and see things broadly. Cherish no opinion. Don't be an asshole. Raise your children, love them, and teach them through example. Not because you don't want them to know the real world, but because better character makes a better world. We design, choose, and construct our characters. And lastly, if you're a drug dealer, inject yourself with your own poison and take a long fucking nap, asshole. At a certain point in my life, when I saw that denying my control of myself, denying that I was choosing a life of subpar behaviors, I sought out and discovered self-help books. And these podcasts, in a sense, are messages to my dead son. These are conversations I would have had with my son. I think he was a better person than I am. Certainly than I was. And part of that was because by the time he was emerging into himself, I had put a lot of bad character behind me. I taught myself, I retrained myself how to be a decent person, a respectful person. I'm not always honest, but I definitely retrained myself. My father didn't teach me shit. He taught me about brutality and sex abuse, how to sweep a floor. He did teach me that. My mother taught me many good things, but I could not take them on until I knew my own defects and decided against them. These self-help books were all about
Personal responsibility.
not making excuses for yourself and changing my behavior. And it almost happened overnight when I realized there was a world out there that had figured this out. And it wasn't religion, it was humanism. The animal world is pretty fucked up in some ways. Yes, there's a balance, I suppose, but it's not a world where we would thrive. We thrive in societies that have rules, parameters, freedoms. Once I was in a foreign country.
I won't say which one.
But there are no laws there. No seatbelt laws, so people are flying out of their fucking cars and trucks. And I'm not kidding. In the short time I was there, I saw a lot of that.
It was insane the way people drove.
And there was a lot of poverty. And there was also
Armed young men
dressed up in paramilitary gear
with assault rifles.
in groups clustered here and
And
there.
I mean young, 18.
Corruption, no laws, no safety, a lot of suffering. And I had to admit that their society was not healthy. It was not.
Helping people thrive.
It was also very racist. In this country where I visited, if you were born an indigenous person, you could not even get a job as a fucking garbage man. And it's not white and black where I was. So that kind of bullshit is very alive in the world. And I was able to see that our society is what we make it, and that the laws are not just there to control you and restrict you. They're there to protect the weaker citizens, and that's a good thing. Because we don't live,
In the animal world.
even though we're animals. Our big fucking brains figured out societies where over time people saw how to live better. So I want to see everybody get a free education. I do think we should have free healthcare. Free the citizenry to have no fucking excuse. The truth is, we love violence. We love criminality. We love doing shit that's off the books and unsanctioned behaviors. I think there's plenty of fun a person can have without harming people or breaking safety laws. Our species gets off on that tension of just at the point before we shit the bed. We love that tension. And then when we shit the bed, the excuses rain down. We love getting high. We love it.
We're not trying to escape.
Our pain, we just love getting high because it's fun. We like fun. We love fun. We're repetitive,
Violent
prideful
assholes.
by nature. But we can also bend those tendencies to very powerful and artistic ends. Art of life. That's what I was trying to teach my son. He didn't need to deny himself adventure, excitement, danger, risk, but he needed to find those things in creative and healthy ways, life-affirming ways. Drugs are life-denying. They're garbage. I somehow sensed with him that if I just bore down with judgment and recrimination or force, that he would not respond to that he needed to find his own reasonable way in the world, and that I was here to play the game of life with him.
Because it's just a game.
He started, he You get into it and it's over. It's really just that simple. And if you lose this game in your 20s or your teens,
Or your 30s or your 40s.
through your own folly, then you truly lost.
I did not want for
To go
him
down some drain. His beautiful, soulful, wonderful life. Him, his mind, his emotions, his contributions, his humor, his intelligence, his willingness to work, to train, to improve himself. All gone.
because of this.
One reckless permission that he gave himself.
Because he liked it.
He liked how it felt, what it did to him. I think heroin users hate what it does to them after a minute. But not before they do it. Right before they do it, they're salivating. I have nothing to offer you.
These are
Vapors of conversation I would have had with my son, my brother, my other. Obviously, I didn't do a good job, 'cause here we are. I know he chose. Somehow, I'm implicated. My life, my choices, my legacy, hopes and dreams were mixed up
fentanyl.
in that needle. Drugs don't care what race you are, what socioeconomic bracket you're in, what your zip code is, what religion you are. If you get
Into this shit.
this garbage,
You're
you're fucking yourself and your family and time and history and nature. Find a better way. Pick something else to get off on, because this shit kills everybody. And not just when you die, but every time you use it, every moment you participate in that game, death is shrouding
Everything.
and everyone. I can't help but see the world through a certain lens now.
I can't.
See it any other way. It's the worst choice a person can make. Things outside of our power are going to befall each one of us. There are some things that are only in our power. Only my son could have controlled what he put in his body. We should reform the police departments. We should integrate them with all races and have them reflect the neighborhoods that they police. And have them have the best training. And let's add to that we as citizens should partner with those reformed police departments to rat out these motherfucking dealers. Fuck these assholes. What are you gonna do? Wait until they kill your little brother or little sister? Because that's what's gonna happen. Maybe they won't do it directly,
Maybe they will.
but they're gonna provide the poison. They're gonna groom them, and they're gonna be readily available.
To get it to them.
The poison. It's fucking bullshit. Let's make snitching a sport, not something to be ashamed of in some nonsensical way, but something to be proud of. To say fuck you to the people that are killing your little brother or your little sister. Fuck these assholes. They're murderers. Mr.Nobody. Out.
Not all silence is golden. The phone doesn't ring with the voice that it used to sing. And now the silence is deafening. Not all your dreams are for you, dear. Your heart as it flies will get caught in a web of lies. And not all your dreams will come true, dear. A beautiful song, and you wanna sing along to follow that string along to the bottom of hell. Don't hold your breath for tomorrow. The more you cry how, the answer is always now. And you're scared to death of tomorrow.
And the people that are selling it to you are